Oh my god. What happened? Uh, uh,
Hey, Ross.
oh, Wizzy, what the hell happened? I was just
Oh,
finishing up recording that last episode and everything went dark.
so you remember Scribbles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like that, except I found out how to reverse it.
Oh shit. What year is it?
So the year is 2023.
Fuck.
I've been keeping the podcast alive this entire time. Don't worry, I've just been narrating them myself.
Okay, cool. Let me just thank heavens. Let me just look at the podcast page then. I
Oh
want
no,
to
you
make
don't have
sure
to
that
do that. It's we've been exploding in views, so like you probably don't want to jinx it by looking or anything. By Ross,
uh
so please don't.
oh, okay. It's funny that you say that. Views. Because it's a podcast.
Um,
Well, never mind that. Hello there, everybody. I'm Ross Pitt, Shark Hunter, and this is Wizzy Puff. Yeah, I'm getting right back into the old groove ever since I was mysteriously disappeared from the universe, I guess.
yeah, like don't check the other channel.
Yeah. Well, this is Ross and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour. It's great to be back, you guys. If you don't know, this is the podcast where I take Wizzy into the magical world of My Little Pony fanfiction, but possibly other fanfiction in the future, we never know. Send us some good other fanfiction that's between like 4,000 to 6,000 words long and is good. So today, we are going to be reading I'll Never Let You Go by Smitty91. And in case anyone is wondering about the G5 stuff that we were doing, that's not happening anymore.
Come on. G5. Who even wanted that?
Me.
Okay, well maybe some people wanted it, but like who pays attention to it anymore? Like let's be honest.
That's true.
We've been exploding in views. We don't need to drag it down with that.
Mm-hmm. Preach, preach.
Since I introduced those topless walruses.
What the fuck has been going on? Alright, well, anyways. Yeah, today we're going to be reading I'll Never Let You Go by Smitty91. This is going to be a sad fan fiction starring Twilight and Spike, so I'm excited. Everyone knows I love myself some sad fan fictions, and I love Spike, so I'm expecting this to be fantastic.
And
All right,
I love reading.
what the hell has gone on these past few years without me?
Oh yeah, reading. That's the big fan of that.
Oh my goodness. Well, anyways,
Okay, I can't keep up this act.
all right, I'm just gonna start this. I'll Never Let You Go by Smitty91. Chapter I'll Never Let You Go. It had been a long trip down the stairs. Spike felt as if his legs were going to give way any minute, if his lungs didn't give out before then. Gasping for breath, he went to explain himself as to why he disobeyed Twilight's direct orders.
I know you told me to stay up there, but you were down here for such a long time. You weren't answering, so I got worried. I came down here to see you just staring at that wall, and I was just calling your name, but I couldn't seem to get your attention, and...
He suddenly stopped when he reached Twilight, watching her as she trotted over to a nearby door, arousing his interest. He walked over to it.
What were you looking at? I mean, it's just a wall.
And also, guys, if you haven't already, go down in the description and read this fan fiction for yourself. Or if you don't want to, that's fine. You can just listen to that voice as your first exposure to this fan fiction. At the very least, give it a like. That would be nice.
I imagine you'd want this voice as your first exposure, would you not?
Uh-huh. So anyways, I'm gonna read on. As the gem above the door was cast in an aura, his eyes suddenly changed into a shade of green and a confused expression was on his face. He continued to stare at the door, dumbfounded.
Ponyville? How did I get here? No, I don't want to go.
He backed away, tears swelling in his eyes.
Please, Twilight, don't make me.
Twilight slammed her foot against the door. Actually, they're hooves.
Uh-huh.
Back into the swing of things. Woo! Twilight slammed her foot against the door, ending the dark spell that had been cast over her number one assistant. King Sombra's dark magic, she explained. A doorway that leads to your worst fears. He looked down at the floor.
We were home. You told me you didn't need me anymore. You were sending me away.
She suddenly grabbed him and pinned him to the side in a hug. She suddenly grabbed him and pinned him to her side in a hug. I'm afraid that will never come to pass. I'm never going to send you away.
Why are you afraid? What? Wouldn't you want to keep him?
She's not really afraid. It's just an expression.
I'm familiar with the expression.
Twilight is an antisocial person.
Right. So she's sending Spike away because,
No, but you see, she'll never send him away. And see, she says, I'm never going to send you away.
Yeah, she wants to. Really bad.
Yeah, exactly. So I've come to your side on this, Wizzy. Yes, she's absolutely sending him away. She absolutely wants to send him away. While this event had been several months ago, that was also, by the way, that was my favorite scene in the show. That was taken, I don't know if it was word for word from the show, but that was from the show.
Oh.
It was in the season 3 premiere, The Crystal Empire. While this event had been several months ago, it was still etched in Spike's brain, and while Twilight Sparkle had taken the time to console him, he felt that now his worst fear was coming to fruition. He sat at his favorite donut shop in Canterlot at the bar, a plate of donuts and a mug of hot chocolate sitting in front of him on the counter. Twilight and the others had gone out for a night on the town to celebrate her becoming an alicorn, a princess no less. They had offered to let him tag along, but he had declined.
Why am I feeling this way?
He questioned himself.
At the ceremony, I was very happy for her. Why now is it that I feel the worst is yet to come? If Twilight's busy with royal duties, what's going to happen to me? Who will look after me? Oh, sure, I suppose I could look after myself, but I'm still a baby.
He's a little baby.
He's just a little baby.
He's a little baby.
Little baby dragon.
Precious memories of the good times he'd had with Twilight and her friends floated through his mind. And this only seemed to make his dilemma worse all the more. Tears swelled his eyes and he quickly lifted a shaky hand to wipe them away. To calm himself, he took a swig of the hot chocolate. A small smile spread across his face as the hot cocoa warmed his body, and the marshmallows within it massaged his tongue. He supposed that a marshmallow was what eating a cloud must have been like. Both were unbelievably soft. He looked up at the owner of the donut shop, Pony Joe, seeing as there was no one else around to talk to. He supposed that the pony could help him with his dilemma.
Hey, Pony Joe.
Said Pony walked over to him and smiled.
Can I ask you a question?
Pony Joe nodded. Fire away.
Is that like Kronk?
Yeah, that was also the Pony Joe voice in Scooter Tricks the Abridged.
It's so good.
Yeah. Watch Scooter Tricks the Abridged. Spike rubbed his neck, looking away, trying to figure out how to word his question.
I've got a problem. You see, a friend of mine recently became a princess.
Tell your friend I said congratulations.
Yeah, but it's not so great. Really. You see, I'm worried that since she's a princess now, she may not need me anymore. She'll have all those servants helping her.
He finally looked up, making eye contact.
What should I do?
Well, the best advice I can give is that you need to tell her how you feel. If you're not comfortable with that, then you could always tell one of your other friends. Spike smiled.
Thanks, Pony Joe.
He hopped off the stool and made his way outside.
God, what a load of garbage.
Spike would have gone in the diner and requested to speak to Applejack if it weren't for the fact that she seemed to be quite engaged in a conversation with Rainbow Dash. He peered at them through the store window, both ponies oblivious to his presence, their eyes focused solely on each other and nothing each. One of them occasionally taking a sip of their shake, followed shortly by the other. Ironically enough, his stomach growled upon seeing them enjoying their shakes, and he had to fight the urge to want to join them. The last thing he wanted was to be rude. He was sure Applejack wouldn't mind, but Rainbow Dash probably would have been irritated that he had decided to butt in on their conversation. He thought about maybe waiting for Rainbow Dash to get up and walk off before entering the shop and talking with Applejack. But the diner was a public place, and the matter that he found himself in was one that had to be dealt with in a safe, secluded area like Sweet Apple Acres. Unfortunately, the walk from Canterlot to Ponyville was a long way, and his legs were already sore. Worse yet, he didn't have an alternate way of getting back to Ponyville until Twilight and the others decided that it was time to go to bed. But due to the fact that they only needed 3 hours of sleep to function throughout the day, they could be up all night, talking and having the time of their lives. He couldn't wait that long. If he wanted to deal with his issue as of right now, he had to act. Taking in a deep breath, he threw open the entrance door and walked over to the table that Rainbow Dash and Applejack were seated at. Rainbow Dash noticed him first. Excuse me, gotta get my Rainbow Dash voice in here. Hey, Spike!
She lifted a hoof. Just like her.
She lifted a hoof and waved him over. Over here!
Uh-huh.
He smiled, glad to see that the pony was happy about him disturbing their conversation. He just needed to tell Applejack something, and then he'd be on his way. Hopefully, she wouldn't make a big deal out of it, and hopefully Rainbow Dash wouldn't pressure her into spoiling what he'd told her. Then again, maybe Applejack telling Rainbow Dash wouldn't be such a bad thing. After all, Applejack was the element of honesty, and she was terrible at making stuff up to save her skin on the spot.
Oh, I didn't really realize that they incorporated her element of honesty like that.
Yep.
I didn't realize that her not being able to lie was a part of her character.
It is. I'm positive we must have read a fan fiction about that. Or
I don't
not
think
about
so.
that, but like one that featured that.
I mean, one that
Must
had
have.
it saying that she was the element of honesty, definitely, but I never really thought about her being honest, you know? Just like her being apple bucking.
Huh. Yep, I'm the element of apple bucking. That's me.
Sweet.
They were all friends, and friends helped each other through troubling times. More than likely, if Rainbow Dash knew of his conflicting feelings about Twilight being a princess, she would tell Twilight, which would save Applejack the trouble of telling her herself. And then he and she would be able to talk about the dilemma that they found themselves in. Applejack scooted over to the right as Spike approached, but was taken aback when he leaned towards her, so much in fact that she actually leaned back. He motioned for her to turn, and she did so without question, Rainbow Dash giving the farm mare a quizzical look, only to be met with one from Applejack herself to show that even she didn't know what was going on. She listened intently to what Spike whispered in her ear. She turned her head so that they were eye to eye, and she gave him a sweet smile and a nod before he smiled back at her and left the shop without another word to either pony. What was that all about? Rainbow Dash demanded as soon as Spike had left the shop.
He wants to talk,
Applejack told her. Well, I'm sure whatever he has to say to you can be said in front of both of us. The farm mare nodded in agreement.
True, but he says it's private, personal, so he's just gonna walk with me home and we can talk there.
Rainbow Dash raised an eyebrow. He wants to talk to you? Why doesn't he just talk to Twilight? She took a drink of her shake. They talk all the time, don't they?
They do. But I reckon she's so busy with getting everything squared away with Princess Celestia that he doesn't think she has time to talk to him. Anyway, I suppose that it's important. I can always tell Twilight. It's the least I can do.
How come he doesn't want to talk to me? Applejack smiled and patted the turquoise pony's hoof.
Aw, don't feel that way, Rainbow. He likes you. It's just that, well, you're a little self-absorbed sometimes.
Not true. Rainbow Dash frowned. I am not. Applejack raised an eyebrow. Rainbow Dash's expression faltered. Oh, okay. So I can get a little full of myself sometimes.
Sometimes. Try all the time, honey.
Rainbow Dash grinned playfully at the farm air and attempted but failed to swat at her face with her hoof. Oh, okay. So I can get a little full of myself sometimes.
Sometimes. Try all the time, honey.
Rainbow Dash grinned playfully at the farm air and attempted but failed to swat at her face with her hoof. Applejack chuckled.
Nice try.
And Rainbow Dash was arrested for assault.
For domestic abuse.
No, wouldn't be that yet. This was right after Twilight got wings. They're not living together yet. Even if they are secretly dating.
Do you call it domestic abuse if it's like friends fighting?
I don't actually know. What is the definition of domestic abuse?
I feel like it's probably just you gotta live together. So if they were like roommates, but I don't actually know.
Violent or aggressive behavior within the home, typically involving the violent abuse of a spouse or partner.
And they weren't roommates?
They were not. No, this was right after Twilight got wings.
Man, I was hoping to make Rainbow Dash's case a bit more, concrete.
Surprisingly enough, Twilight and the others decided to turn in relatively early in spite of the fact that they could have stayed up all night. It seemed the excitement over the past few days had left them physically drained. Even Pinkie Pie wasn't as hyperactive as she usually was, though she was bouncing all over the place. The pace in which she did this was quite slow compared to how she usually did it. Spike walked with them to the hot air balloon that they'd used as a means of getting to Canterlot. With the wonderful night air, they'd all felt it was a shame to miss out on it by riding in a horse-drawn carriage. The baby dragon couldn't have disagreed with them if he'd tired. The night air was refreshing and cool, not too hot, not too cold. If permitted, he would have gladly slept outside. He loved these kinds of nights when the atmosphere was so peaceful that it was absolutely heavenly. As he walked, he noticed Applejack constantly glancing over at him. He avoided making any eye contact with her. She must have gotten the signal he was trying to send, because she merely stopped at this action in turn to talking with Rarity about something that they'd been discussing earlier. He didn't want to do anything with her until they were at Sweet Apple Acres, in the privacy of her home. Otherwise, someone would catch on to the two of them talking at each other and think that something was going on between them. Oh no, they're friends.
Oh, they're plotting friends.
Not that No Pony would have a problem with that, mind you. He figured that if there were anything going on between them, the others wouldn't have a problem with it, even if he had to admit to himself that it would way too weird to be in a romantic relationship with one of his friends, even if one of them rivaled the beauty that Rarity had.
Why would they not have a problem with it? Spike.
Gross.
They better have a problem with it. Did no one tell Spike about stranger danger? Did no one tell Spike about inappropriate relationships?
I mean, they probably told him about stranger danger, but Applejack isn't a stranger.
You're right. It's even worse.
Yep. The balloon ride home was quiet. each party saying very little and simply enjoying the warmth of the night air that blew as they drifted along the clouds towards home. Every now and then, one of them would strike up a conversation with one of the others, just to break the silence. But said conversations typically didn't last no more than a few sentences. Spike was so at peace, if only for the moment, that he nearly fell asleep at Twilight's side, using her thigh as a pillow. Luckily, she didn't seem to mind. Aw, not cute.
Wah.
The two of them had spent many a night cuddling with each other, providing warmth, comfort, safety, security. It was a nice way to spend the evening simply enjoying each other's company and providing each other with the basic needs that they both needed on a regular basis. It seemed, however, that those nights would come to a close very, very soon. One by one, each of them was dropped off at their respective homes, Rainbow Dash being one of the first due to the proximity her home had to Ponyville. Gradually, the hot air balloon became less and less full until only Applejack, Twilight Sparkle, and Spike were left. When they reached Sweet Apple Acres, Twilight was quite surprised when Spike started following Applejack. Twilight already talked. I can't remember what I did for her.
Yeah, I think it was sort of...
Let's see. See if I go back up and read something, it'll jog my memory. Nope. Don't remember.
I think it was something close to your, normal Twilight voice.
Okay. Spike, where are you going?
Oh, it's all right, Twilight.
Applejack reassured her.
Spike here just wants to talk to me about something. I imagine it'll be mighty late by the time we're done, so it would be all right if he just... So would it be all right if he just slept over?
I guess, Twilight replied. Applejack smiled.
Great, I'll just make sure he doesn't stay up too late.
Twilight chuckled. I don't think that's going to be a problem. He's a baby dragon after all.
He's just a baby dragon.
A baby?
But even babies get up in the middle of the night and make a fuss.
She pointed a hoof at Spike, who was busy letting out a yawn. Well, there you go. Look at that. He's tired. He's a tired boy. She laughed along with Applejack before heading off back to the library, her home.
Well, Spike.
Not her home for long.
What did you do to her tree?
It's not what I've done to her tree. It's what's going to happen to her tree.
Discord, turn my tree back to a tree instead of a giant foot.
Now, that would have been a clever way to get rid of the tree in the canon, but no, unfortunately that didn't happen.
Aw.
Applejack stated, smiling down at the baby dragon.
What say we head on inside?
The dragon nodded his head in agreement and walked alongside her as both headed towards her house.
I hope you don't mind milk,
Applejack said, walking in the living room carrying a tray containing 2 glasses of milk on her back.
Thanks,
Spike replied, gratefully taking one of the glasses. He set the other down on the coffee table in front of the sofa, and she set the tray on the floor, with her mouth before hopping up on the couch and sitting beside him. He took a drink of the milk. His face lit up as he licked his lips.
I'm just realizing that I should have been Rainbow Dash and you should have been Applejack.
Yes, we've messed up yet again.
Darn it. But it's not like we get to pre-read these.
That's true. Some people don't like that.
This is good. Real good. What's in it?
Just honey and a dash of nutmeg,
She replied, her head at a hoof.
It's an old family recipe. Does wonder for insomnia.
He smiled.
I imagine.
He took another drink of the milk, which he found to be quite warm, a first for him. Oddly enough, he found himself liking the beverage a lot better when served hot than cold. Dragons.
Huh. So, Spike.
She playfully nudged him with her hoof, smiling down at him.
What's cha want to talk about?
That's quite possibly the worst southernism we've read in this entire podcast. What's cha?
Yeah, I don't know. Normally it's just whatcha.
He took another drink of his beverage, as if trying his best to avoid conversation for as long as possible.
Come on, sugar cube.
She coaxed. That was such a strange way to say that.
You gotta talk eventually.
Applejack is turning into a real creep right now.
What?
He smiled. I'm just saying, I'm not a fan of the way you said that.
I was just trying to make her sound like, less, friendly.
You succeeded. He smiled at her before setting down his drink and wiping his hands on his knees, looking skyward and breathing out, trying to get himself relaxed and comfortable. He finally made eye contact with her, and he found it strange how he had never noticed before how he and she both had the same eye pigment. I mean, I never really noticed something like that, I'll be honest.
Oh, yeah.
It might be because I can't see my eyes usually.
Don't got a mirror?
I don't usually look into a mirror.
You know, if I were you, I'd be looking into a mirror all day.
Wait. Have you read that one fan fiction that we read?
Which fanfiction?
The one that we read alongside Graveyard Game thing. That Isn't Me, with the haunted mirror and Sweet.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Go watch That Isn't Me and Ghost in the Graveyard, or read those fanfictions. Good fanfictions. Good episodes too. He looked down at his feet and folded his hands in his lap. He swallowed before finally speaking.
I'm scared, Applejack.
She gave him a puzzled look.
Now, hold on a minute. What are you scared of?
I thought you were going for a more gruff voice.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Now, hold on a minute. What are you scared of?
About the future. About what's gonna happen to me. To all of us. Now that Twilight's a princess and all.
Spike speaking the minds of all the bronies watching the season 3 finale. She frowned.
Is that what's been bothering you?
He looked at her, bewildered.
You've noticed?
Why, of course I've noticed. You haven't been talking much over the past couple of days, and you've barely eaten anything. If I didn't think something was wrong with you, I would have called myself sick. Yeah.
He looked back down at his hands.
With her being part of the royal family now, she won't have time for me anymore.
He brought his knees up to his chest and rested his chin on his folded arms, staring down at the coffee table.
I made a similar fanfiction like this, but it is from the perspective of Prince Andrew when Prince Charles became king.
What are you talking about?
Well, listen, I don't understand who these people are very well, so I just based their characters off of Spike and Twilight.
No, I mean, Prince Charles hasn't become king?
What are you talking about?
I'm sorry, did something happen to the Queen in the last year?
No.
Huh.
Guys, I forgot he was in a coma.
Well, anyways. Hold on. Where were we?
She'll have all kinds of servants and everything. She won't need me anymore, so she'll probably send me away.
Sugar Cube, look at me.
He did.
That girl loves you. She'd do anything in the world for you. No way is she going to send you away. If you think that, then you probably need to talk to her about this.
He looked down.
I don't know. What if...
Honey, you can't keep these feelings of yours bottled up inside you all the time. It's not healthy. Look at Rainbow Dash. Poor Rainbow Dash, she's just dragging her. Oh, dragon, I get it. Because Spike.
Good job noticing the pun you made?
No, it wasn't an intentional one, but like, you know, sometimes things just work out in a punful way. And then you gotta make note of it.
He chuckled.
Ah.
Wasn't that funny?
Ooh. You're just saying that because it's Rainbow Dash, aren't you?
No, I'm saying it because it's you.
I told that joke very well in her voice.
There's a smile.
She said. She pulled him close into a tight hug.
I understand where you're coming from. I think we're all a little worried about what the future will hold for us. But
She cupped his face in her hooves and turned his head so that they were looking at each other eye to eye.
you don't have to face it alone. Why, you should know better than to think that all your friends are just gonna up and leave you just because some things are changing. One thing that ain't never gonna change, honey, is that we're a family.
She lifted a hoof to stroke his scales.
And family means no pony gets left behind or forgotten.
Okay, wait, is this based off of My Little Pony, or is this based off of Lilo and Stitch? The or forgotten part was like, you know...
I mean, it could be a reference.
Yeah, but, like, where did Applejack learn this reference is what I'm wondering.
I mean, maybe she just came up with it in this world.
Nope,
Maybe she goes to the human world and then makes Lilo and Stitch.
That's the thing. That's why I need more fanfictions from this author explaining that, or else I'm going to write a bad review. Anyway, we're always going to be there for you, through the good times and the bad. Don't you ever feel like you have to face your battles alone, Sugar Cube? All you gotta do is call, and you're right there with you, every step of the way.
He lunged himself at her, burying his face in her chest and wrapping his arms around her, squeezing her tightly. He nuzzled his face in the soft orange-yellowish fur that covered her chest. Sighing in content, he looked up at her.
Thank you, Uncle Joe. It's no problem, Sugar Cube.
She gently pried him off her.
Now what say we get some shut-eye? Come on.
She hopped down from the couch and trotted towards the stairs.
You can sleep with me. I don't like the thought of you sleeping down here all by yourself. Y'all be much more comfortable sleeping with me.
Okay, Applejack, I don't like where that's going.
Come on.
Just saying, the author has alluded to some kind of weird stuff.
That is a little bit. It's been a little bit sus, but the actions of the characters so far have been normal.
Are you sure? Absolutely. Okay.
He started to follow her up the stairs, but suddenly stopped and drank the glass of milk that she never ended up drinking. Ew.
Yeah.
As he headed up the stairs, he felt as if he was going to sleep like a baby tonight.
I wonder why. Maybe it's because he's a baby.
Oh, he is. Wow. Smart. Applejack invited Twilight over for breakfast the following morning, saying only that the two of them needed to have a talk. Twilight agreed to the occasion, completely baffled as to what the two of them needed to talk about. After a hearty breakfast of pancakes, eggs, sausages, and the like, the farm mare led Twilight upstairs to her room. From her window, she could see Spike and Applebloom playing tag in the backyard, and she couldn't help but smile. "What's this about, Applejack?" She turned upon hearing Twilight's voice.
It's about Spike, Twilight.
"What's wrong? Is he okay?"
Physically, yes. Emotionally, no. You see, with you becoming an alicorn and all, he seems to think that you're gonna abandon him. Send him away. Says that you won't need him anymore with all the royal servants y'all have.
Twilight shook her head. That's me, I forgot. That's ridiculous. Where would he get an idea like that?
I found the receipts, Twilight.
Oh, fuck.
You've sold him to the circus. It's nothing to fret about, Twilight. The boy's trying to adapt to change. Change can be a hard thing to get through for a boy his age. In order to get through this difficult time, he needs you to be there for him.
Spike knows how much I love him.
Well, I think it's time y'all sat down and had a discussion about this. Cleared things up. It's clear to me that the boy cares a great deal about you.
You two are like brother and sister.
Wrong. They are brother and sister.
Quite in every way possible, except for biologically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to bet you'd be willing to die for each other.
Twilight smiled. I can understand why he thinks I would send him away. It is his worst fear and all.
What's your worst fear? That's kind of random. Like, where'd that come from? I thought you were going to continue talking about Spike.
Yeah, that is kind of random. Applejack, you're bad at this. Twilight shook her head. Let's not get into that. It's not important. She cleared her throat. Where is he, by the way?
He's out back playing with Apple Bloom.
By the way, if you're wondering what Twilight's greatest fear is, it's failing the Princess Celestia. Yeah, it's not even failing Spike.
Yeah, clearly she values one person more than the rest. Sure. No, I get her fears. I'll validate her.
When the two of them were so tired that they couldn't run anymore, Spike and Apple Bloom walked in the Apple residence to get something to drink. During this time, Twilight suggested that the two of them go home since they needed to discuss some things. The dragon nodded in agreement, without argument, and followed her home, him riding on her back. Not that she didn't mind. He did it all the time, after all. However, her wings were a constant distraction, and he found himself requesting that she fold them as they walked. It felt good being back home again. It felt as if the two of them had been away from their home for so long, yet it only been a couple of days. Twilight had missed her books, while he had missed the comfort and security that the library brought him, even though he didn't share the same enthusiasm for books and reading that she did. Oof, you just continue to like that library, Spike. I'm sure it'll work out real well for you in the future. The two of them were silent as they walked in, Spike flickering on the lights as he passed the doorway. They headed towards a nearby table. "Sit down, Spike," she said simply. He did so, nervously fumbling with his hands, as a way to keep himself distracted. She sat down across from him, forcing him to look up when she placed her hoofs in his hands. "Applejack says you're not taking my being a princess well," she stated. He shook his head.
I'm having trouble dealing with...
He rubbed his arms and looked away. "I understand. Do you really think that I'd send you away just because I'm a princess now?"
Well, I don't really know.
"Spike, you should know me better than that by now. Remember what I've always said? You're my #1 assistant. I could never live with myself if I ever got rid of you. I have no reason whatsoever to send you away. Just because I'm a princess doesn't mean I'm going to leave you and all my friends behind. Sure, I'll have more responsibilities now, and I've have a lot of time on my hooves, but I'll try my absolute best to make time for you and my friends, especially you." He smiled.
I'm sorry, Twilight. I shouldn't have jumped to conclusions.
"You better be." She shook her head. "No, I understand why you did. You're having trouble dealing with the change. That's common when change happens, but one thing that's not going to change is the way I feel about you. I love you.
You do?
More than anything in the world."
Aw.
Not a fan of this next line. She leaned forward and gently licked his muzzle, making him laugh. "Step away from the child."
Imagine your sister just licks your face. Ugh.
Ugh. "I will never send you away. I never could. Remember, I raised you since you were a baby. You know, I would never trust anyone with you unless it's me or one of our friends."
I know you wouldn't.
"What about your brother? Your other brother? What about your parents?"
What about the princesses?
No, not them. They can go die.
Oh! Specifically Celestia.
"No. I'm glad we have an understanding." She started to walk off, but was suddenly stopped by Spike, grabbing her hoof. She looked down at him. "What is it?" He looked down, his cheeks burning.
I have a somewhat childish request, but could you hold me for a while?
He was blushing so hard that his cheeks were burning. She smiled sweetly at him. Of course. She led him upstairs, where her bed was located, and climbed on, patting her lap. Come here, lie down. Spike crawled into her lap and snuggled close to her. She held him close, and he rested his head on her chest, listening intently to her heartbeat. She began to stroke his head, while she began to sing to him. I have to sing this?
Ah.
I have to sing all of this?
Sing it.
Okay. Let me just take a sip. Okay. What was my Twilight voice again? Lie down. Yeah. Hush now, quiet now, it's time to lay your sleepy head. Hush now, quiet now, it's time to go to bed. Hush now, quiet. Hush now, quiet now, it's time to lay your sleepy head. Said, hush now, quiet now, it's time to go to bed. Drifting off to sleep, leave the exciting day behind you. Drifting off to sleep, let the joy of dreamland find you. Hush now, quiet now, lay your sleepy head. Hush now, quiet now, it's time to go to bed. It's also a song from the show, by the way.
Ah.
By the time Twilight was finished with the song, Spike had already fallen asleep. Yet despite this, she still held him in her lap. She didn't want to let him go, and she never would.
Aw.
The end.
Let's give it up for Ross's singing.
Oh, thank you. I know, it was incredible.
That's going in the soundtrack of the season 3 of Ross and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour.
Season 3?
Yeah, this is season 3, baby.
I guess, in a way. So, what did we think of it?
I thought it was cute.
Me too.
You know, I feel like it was very simple. It was very cute, very fulfilling. But let's be honest, some of this punctuation kind of suffered.
Not just the punctuation, also some of the spelling.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was still a pretty good read.
I don't judge a writer based on
That's
that.
right.
That's a simple fix.
Then they should fix it.
True. You hear that, Smitty91?
Smitty Warben Jaegerman Jensen. Well, yep. Pretty good. Always love a good Spike fanfiction. Maybe the next Spike fanfiction we read, it'll actually be a happy fanfiction.
Poor Spike.
Yeah.
I guess because he mainly gets to be the comic relief happy character in the show, people want to explore his sadder side more in the fix.
Yeah, it's just sad. I guess we did read Spike's
Yeah.
Revenge. That was pretty funny, I guess.
Which one was that?
It was the one where Spike gets revenge for all those letters that he vomits up.
That's right, Jesus, that one was so messed up.
Whoa, apparently Duped isn't on Fanfiction anymore.
Duped?
Yeah, apparently.
Man, we're making a collection of ones that were the sole hosts of that story.
Yep, you can only get those. You can only get Duped and whatever the other one was. I Fluttershy, I think. Right
Yeah,
here.
it's I Fluttershy.
And probably also Femfetch. I'm sure it's on there. But yeah. So, I guess that's it.
That was I'll Never Let You Go by Smitty91.
Indeed
Have a
it
good
was.
night, everyone.
Night. You can also find us on, any of your podcasting apps, and also YouTube and Audible. We're on Audible. We're the only fanfictions on Audible. Spread that to your friends.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
And I missed that. Also, isn't turquoise like a blue-green? Rainbow Dash is just blue.
Yeah, I think they meant like cyan.
It's usually what they call Rainbow Dash, cyan. Which I used to call Xian or something like that. Cayenne.
It's yawn. Like yawn.
Yan, 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 yan.
Okay.